I know I am 100% not the only person who is thinking this, but I just can't stand Steve Nicol. While I know that ESPN FC isn't exactly the best football show to watch for useful insights and analysis, as there are far better shows which analyse football to a better level compared to ESPN FC, but seriously, Steve Nicol rarely provides any meaningful observations, and to be quite honest, he sounds like that old man who just yells at the cloud up in the sky. For the first example, I think it may have been at the start of the year in 2020, where Jules made some good analysis after the Liverpool Wolves game last season, that the newly hired throwing coach had made some really considerable differences to the performance of the Liverpool team, while Nicol smugly dismissed the idea that a throwing coach could improve the Liverpool team, as he thought it was just some lunacy idea. I think this shows that Steve Nicol hasn't really caught on with the changes in modern football, where even things like a throwing coach, however rare they are, and the newly found importance of sports science are just too complex of concepts for him to comprehend. I might just add in as well that the throwing coach was shown to have significantly improved the retention of the ball after a throw-in, so cheers Tifo Football for that brilliant analysis. Maybe Steve Nicol should study the game a bit more before making utter rubbish statements like he regularly does on TV. Other deplorable statements that Nicol has made on TV, including saying that Liverpool paid too much for the €42 million signing of Mohamed Salah in 2017. Just for your information, he now has 76 goals in 110 appearances as of when I am recording this, and compare this to Manchester United signing Lukaku at the same year at the same transfer window for double the money and hadn't had the same impact that Salah had made at Liverpool, and additionally, Lukaku isn't even at Man U anymore. He has also said that domestic competitions are more important than the Euros. Christian Pulisic would easily rather join Liverpool than Chelsea. Jurgen Klopp will be getting sacked in the near future, and also said that Mohamed Salah is the most frustrating player to watch, even though he had already scored 20 goals to this point in the 2019-20 season. I could just go on and on with the rubbish statements that he has made, but I'd just be here forever, to be honest. But even with all of these examples, I do know that Nicol can sometimes produce some good commentary from time to time, so I just wanted to get that impartial point of view across. I know that the show itself also has some really deplorable pundits who aren't named Steve Nicol, like Craig Burley, Alejandro Moreno, and Frankie LeBoeuf, who themselves are at times very clueless, and I could probably make a separate video about each of these individuals, even though there are times where they can all say some valid points and break down a game, player, or team in an analytical manner, albeit that it is rather uncommon. But honestly, when it comes to Steve Nicol, he doesn't really do any of these, and he can seriously make some stupid vague statements in an arrogant manner where he believes that his opinion is the only right opinion, and I just don't like this in general. His attitude is another thing that really grinds my gears, but I do acknowledge that this does add to the entertainment aspect of the show. But I feel like this is an unnecessary element, as it really just makes Nicol look very egotistic. I know that some of you will also say that if you don't like a show, well, maybe you shouldn't be watching it. And you know what, that's true, but I do want to say this as well. ESPN FC brand themselves as a show where they have quality pundits who will break down the game on an analytical and a tactical point of view. So, if the pundit's job on the show is to provide insight and overall analysis on certain games or players, well, I'm sorry, but saying you weren't impressed with a team's performance or saying that a player is rubbish isn't providing analysis. But this then becomes just a bunch of armchair experts who try to win meaningless debates, and to be honest, these aren't even debates, but rather a screaming contest by yelling as loudly and angrily as possible at one another. Especially in Steve Nicol's case, this is true. Fans watch these type of shows for world-class analysis. In saying this, I do believe that there are some good people who actually provide intelligent points like Gab Marcotti, Jules Lawrence, and Sid Lowe, whose particular work on going in depth as to why Barcelona are an absolute basket case was great analysis on his part. But the thing that bothers me the most when it comes to Steve Nicol and his punditry is his straight up bias when it comes to Liverpool or when it comes to analysis of how teams compare to Liverpool. When you're a pundit, you have to be objective about what you're going to speak about, and you have to comment with a sense of rationality in order to have a healthy discussion or debate amongst your peers. And it is quite obvious that Steve Nicol brings none of these traits to the table the second his beloved Liverpool get mentioned. While I understand that this is the team he played for and he passionately supports too, and additionally does occasionally bring out some banter about Liverpool's great run as of late, which I understand and even encourage, to be honest, as this does help with the entertainment side of things for the show. But there are just many times where his bias towards Liverpool really makes him look like a clown on TV, and there are even times where this actually makes the show hard to watch with Steve Nicol involved. There are just countless examples where he displays his biases towards Liverpool and furthermore the Premier League, such as believing that Virgil van Dijk is better than Sergio Ramos, and additionally saying that Ramos isn't a world-class defender because he gets a whole bunch of red cards. That's just absolutely ridiculous, and to be honest, I just lol at that. 2 years ago, he also said that Roma weren't a good team when they made the Champions League semi-finals that same year, although Moreno was probably more guilty of this than Nicol. And more recently saying in quotes, "How could you not pick Liverpool?" in response to his Premier League winners prediction for this season, which I understand cause they are one of the favourites, but my major disagreement was the way that he explained his choice, saying that no one else is good enough, which is ludicrous in my opinion, especially when Man City made it further in the Champions League last season than Liverpool, and Chelsea haven't made a big amount of world-class signings, is very dismissive of Nicol and thoroughly lacked any meaningful insight in this explanation. In the end, ESPN FC does provide entertainment value, and ESPN FC does specifically mention that entertainment is a big part of the show. But the analysis made by the pundits, and in particular Steve Nicol, is not really great overall. While he could actually be a top bloke when he's not on TV, and people should 100% not be abusing the guy at all, even though I did call him a clown, so I guess you could say I'm a little bit hypocritical there. I just think that Steve Nicol provides very little meaningful analysis and is a guy that just makes ridiculous, outlandish statements that makes Steve Nicol sound really illogical. So for me, if you're watching ESPN FC for intelligent punditry, then ESPN FC probably isn't the place where you'll find it. If you want more of these videos, please let me know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel below and tell me what you think of Steve Nicol, as I'm also curious to hear your views.